Welcome to Game Bird Spotlight, a product of the North American Game Bird Association, bringing ideas, information, issues, and inspiration to the game bird industry. Today, I am joined by Dan Barngrover and Rob Sexton, our executive director, and we're talking about the Hunting Club Conference that will be in Kansas, in South Dakota in July. I'm so used to Kansas, we just mentioned Kansas. So, fellas, let's talk about this. And we've got several people that are involved in this. Of course, Dan, you are our chairman of the Hunting Club Conference this year. Your role is to what? Coordinate everybody, crack the whip, make everybody do what they're told to do?
A lot of that's Rob's deal, but yeah, I do kind of just help organize stuff and help bring people on the committee that I think might help. And we did bring on a few new people this year that have helped a lot. So and kind of just help coordinate stuff.
Well, we have built this Hunting Club Conference as a conference for hunting preserves by hunting preserves. But why should we care? Why should we care about that? We've had an annual conference for 80 some years. It's always in the wintertime. It's somewhere warm. Why in the world should we care about a hunting club conference?
Well, we are definitely trying to get the hunting clubs involved with NAGA. And in doing that, we need to educate them on what they need to know as far as the number one topic, unfortunately, is the bird flu and how it affects them. And we're just trying to get them more involved and more educated.
I think we've, over the years, had the impression that this is an organization for growers only. And it certainly is not. And our hunting clubs are the end user of our products. So we really wanted to make sure that we were hitting those members that tend to be less visible than we normally see the growers. Plus, they're more plentiful than our growers. So it makes sense to have them aligned with this, our trade association for the game bird industry all across the country. In fact, we have members outside the country, England, Canada. Even though we don't think of them as being part of it, they are definitely a strong part of our organization.
And Peg, one thing real quick I want to add, for this hunting conference is the hunting resorts and lodges have always said that they could not come to our normal convention.
That's right.
Because it's in the middle of hunting season. So that was their excuse for not coming. So your great idea was to have one in the summer when they aren't busy, and this is where we're at now. A few
That's
years
right.
Down the road.
They have no excuse anymore. Well, I want to hit this, so folks can know right away where they can get more information about this conference. You can go to the website that's scrolling across the bottom, NorthAmericanGameBird.com, and right at the top, across the top of the website has the 2024 Hunting Club Conference. So we'll hit that at the end as well, but write that down. Don't leave us now, but that's where you can go to get more information. Rob, we've got an agenda. Dan, I know you've got an agenda there too. What are the important parts that the issues we're trying to bring, the important information we want to give to the attendees?
So I think we should start, Peg, by saying, we've got a very robust agenda with a lot of different topics, but those topics actually came from the hunting preserves. Our committee that Dan chairs, there's just a handful of folks who are in the grower side. The vast majority of that committee are all hunting preserve folks. They gave us a whole battery of ideas. I think we had something like 50 or 60 ideas. And then we took the ideas and organized them and sent it back to the committee and asked them to rank them to get down to the agenda that we have. So what you're looking at, if you go to NorthAmericanGameBird.com and pull up the agenda, is you'll see what hunting clubs wanted to hear about when they got together with us this time in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And so Dan mentioned a lot about the bird flu. I think at least 3 topics are covering that. One, from the point of view of, keeping it out, biosecurity. From the point of view of the technical folks, like the academic veterinarians, like Dr. Abby Schuft, for example, who will be with us. But also from the practical point of view, how do you implement a plan that's affordable and practical? That's from the hunting club point of view. And then, of course, we talk about the best procedures in terms of how do you emerge after you've dealt with this.
Right.
If you're unfortunate enough to get it or lose your supplier, like how do you emerge from that? So the bird flu is a big topic, but I there's a whole lot more than that. The bird flu probably occupies about 20% of the agenda.
Right. And unfortunately, that's where the education comes in, because a lot of the hunting lodges don't think the bird flu affects them because they're not a grower. But, we'll show them real quick that it will affect them real easy.
As some of our attendees have found, I especially grab onto that thought. There was an attendee last year that had been there for the first time, went home, implemented some of the information learned, and then they were affected by it. Not that they got it, but they had a load that came from an affected farm. And because of what they learned, they only lost 7 days of hunting and 3 hunts over that week. And they were able to network real quick with folks who were able to supply them birds because they were at the conference and they got to know each other. That's our next point, but I want to go through the rest of the agenda. Other items that are hot button topics we want to know about.
So I think, we try to do, I think, 3 different categories of agenda items, right? So things you need to be protected from, and the bird flu obviously falls in that category. In that category, we have a presentation from Dr. Todd Adkins with the Sportsmen's Alliance. And that's a different threat. That is the threat of the animal rights lobby to shut us down, whether they're attacking us from the ag side, the stopping the raising and selling of birds, or from the hunting side, the anti-hunting side. Then they're a threat. Todd Atkins is one of the nation's top experts about what hunting clubs can do to fight them. Because let's face it, if they're successful on either side, the animal rights side or the anti-hunting side, then we're out of business. So that category is, is protection, but not from the bird flu, but from politics, obviously. I think we've got several topics on here that talk about how to improve your operation. So we talk about how to maintain and keep strong flying birds. Let's face it, the flush is what people remember when they're out in the field, right, Dan? So when if they come out of there saying, man, those birds were blowing up out of, from right underneath my feet, heart pounding, the kind of thing we all want, then they're going to talk about your club. We talk about how to make use of multiple uses of the cover that you have. The better the cover, the longer it goes in the season. So, and then last, the third aspect is what I would call improvements on your profit. So things you can do to make more money, or things you can do to make more money out of operations you already have. So whether it's a pro shop, whether it's you're serving food, learning better how to price things for profitability. So our agenda covers those topics as well. So I think all the way around, the agenda itself is jam-packed and well worth the trip.
Very good. Well, talking about the person that came last year and was able to networking at these events, the face-to-face give and take, what we sometimes call the hallway discussions, are just as valuable as the scheduled information drop. We have a hospitality room. Dan is also in charge of that usually. So after a full day of information, your head feels full, you want to go and just relax a bit. We have a hospitality room where you can have an adult beverage or soda pop if you want, or some snacks, and be able to decompress and just ask questions of folks.
That's the main thing, is questions. A lot of people won't ask a question in front of a crowd. So they, when they get away in a one-on-one situation, they will talk a lot more. And
That's right.
One of the main ideas of the hospitality room, is just to relax and ask questions and get to know everybody.
Right. And to be able to get to know the people that you want to deal with. They say that this organization is full of a bunch of characters, and you figure out which characters you want to hang with. But that became a very important part of survival in the last few years. People who had been affected with avian influenza had to depopulate their flocks, and other people who care about them because they're part of our industry, that were able to bring in, supply birds, help their customers to get birds, not in a predatory way, but in a cooperative way.
Right.
And be able to help them continue in this industry, because how well they do affects how well we do, oddly enough. We're competitors, but for the most part, we're friendly competitors.
Yep.
We have vendors. Right. We have vendors as well. I believe, Rob, you've got a list of those who are coming. We have people who supply products for raising birds or maintaining them while you're waiting to get them to the field. We have a wonderful supplier who is bringing in hospitality software. We have others who do different things. Rob, why don't you kind of go through that list?
Yeah, so our title sponsor, which is our highest level of sponsorship, is the firearms industry. So National Shooting Sports Foundation is the trade association that represents the entire firearms and ammunition industry, along with related industries. They have been
super. They have been super, supporting us through the years. And if you are a hunt club and you're not a member of the U.S. excuse me, got the wrong one. U.S. Help me out here, Rob, because
National Shooting Sports Foundation.
Then you really should be. Yeah. They are the ones that most often we think of them as running the SHOT Show.
That's right.
But what they do behind the scenes is probably just as important.
Yep. In fact, you'll see a feature story on NSSF in the next issue of NAGA News, the July issue of NAGA News. So they're our title sponsor. And then our next sponsor is Romeo Bravo Software. And Romeo Bravo is the platinum sponsor, the only platinum sponsor of the conference this year. They do hospitality software. So for outfits that want to schedule everything using software, you can schedule your hunts, you can schedule your guides, you can schedule, I guess, all sorts of things you want to add that your customers might want. Ever since they came on the scene, they've really pitched in. They're promoting the conference to their lodges. They have someone on the committee. They do presentations. They've been a great partner.
And I want to add here that I had done a live stream with Paul Robinson from Romeo Bravo Software. You can look through the playlist and find that and find out what they're all about.
Mm-hmm. And then we've got a whole suite of diamond sponsors, which is our next level of sponsorship. So, that includes York Ag, which is kind of new on the scene to NAGA. They started getting more involved this past year as far as in the events we hold. They've been an advertiser for a while. They're out of Pennsylvania, and they do, feed products and the like. And of course, Elkhorn Farms and Hatchery, your very own farm, Peg, is one of the diamond sponsors.
Well, it just makes sense to support this.
Yes. In fact, Elkhorn was the very first sponsor of the very first hunting club conference 2 years ago. Flying Bee Ranch, which is one of our destination hunting preserves out of Idaho.
And we might mention that Michelle Bovey is also a board member. Yep. And very active in the hunting club conference committee.
Yes, she is on the committee.
Yes. Wild Wings of Onika. So this is Jeff Hughes, who is a past president of NAGA, operates a hunting preserve out of Minnesota. And Jeff, they stepped up into the platinum sponsorship role this year after being a gold sponsor, I think, the previous year. From there, we dropped down to our gold sponsors. Now, they're primarily in the area of paying for our firearms, right? So we have a little fun at the conference. We
have a lot of fun at the conference.
Yep. So we do some raffles, and our gold sponsors pay for the raffles. And so one of them is very mysterious. We have an anonymous sponsor.
Oh no, Mr. Anonymous is back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. Is back. And then we also have York Ag again. So one of the neat things about Bill Acor and York is they've just asked repeatedly, what more can we do? So
that's awesome.
They went ahead and grabbed onto that slot of sponsorship. Our silver sponsors are the sponsors of our breaks and the sponsors of our hospitality. And so we've got Beavers Game Farm and McFarland Pheasants, who are back as silver sponsors. I think they're both 3 years in a row. They do, each one of them is a sponsor of one of the nights of the hospitality. And then the break sponsors, let's see here. We've got Milford Hills. Now that's one of the hunting preserves out of Wisconsin that was impacted, right? So you talk about the value of networking. I think Lloyd and Taylor can both tell you that it was the relationships that got them by when the going got tough. They've been heavily involved. K Systems is a brand new break sponsor, so I'm anxious for people to get to meet them and learn about their products. Let's see here. Martz's Game Farm. So Mike Martz, of course, is president of the NAGA. He operates both the hunting club and Game Bird Farm, and they are a silver sponsor. And let's see, have I forgotten anybody? The Double Barrel Game Farm, our brand newest sponsor. That's Dustin Chrisman, of course, is our newest sponsor. So I think we got, make sure I didn't miss anybody there. And then our bronze level sponsors, Black Creek Quail Farm. It's great to see anybody from the quail industry participating. We want
wonderful, yes.
better outreach
that
there.
misnomer that it's all about pheasants. No, not at all. It's
That's
pheasants, chucker, quail.
That's exactly right. And then, of course, Rocky Mountain Roosters, who have sent, a whole squad of people to the conferences so far. And then the last sponsor, our very first firearms manufacturer joined this year, and that is Mossberg. Mossberg Firearms.
Great.
They are the suppliers of a shotgun for our early bird promotion.
Folks, to get in on that early bird, scroll this along again. Remember to register.
Yes, and you've got a deadline coming up on that. We'll be posting that on our e-blast here soon. Let me look at that deadline, see if I can scramble to get that up really quick here. But right. in order to be in line for this Mossberg shotgun, you have to be, there it is, you have to be registered, let's see here, by June 25th. So if you're registered for the conference.
As we're recording this, we're on the 10th. That's only 15 days away, so 2 weeks. And we need to get this aired so that folks realize that.
That's right. So 2 weeks, and the prize is a Mossberg 940 Pro Field semi-automatic 12-gauge shotgun. It's a great-looking hunting gun. You can use it for your club if you want to do that, or if you just want to, take it for yourself. We don't care either way, but that's Mossberg. I'm excited about that because the firearms, awesome. Firearms manufacturer jumping in with us is a great deal. So that's our sponsors.
And going along with that same subject of raffles and giving stuff away and different things in the early bird, we also started first time this year to entice newcomers to the conference, as we have a scholarship we're giving away for the whole kit and caboodle free. So for any first timers, so that's pretty exciting for trying to get new guys to come.
Yeah,
so if they're a new timer and they register, they're in the drawing for a full ride for the whole
Yes.
thing.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
that will cover the cost of their registration and 3 nights hotel room. We'll draw that, and so whoever, if you've already registered, obviously going to refund your money. And the attending the hunting club conference is on us. One key thing about that, this is based on the person, not the farm or hunting club. So a first timer is an individual. So if you're attending the hunting club conference, and your hunting preserve has been previously, but you have not, you're eligible.
Isn't that awesome? So,
Yeah.
okay, let's talk about it. How do they register? We've talked about going to the website. They can register there. There's what is the cost? What are the dates? What's the venue, etc. Give us those details.
Go for it, Rob. You got all the details.
All right. So the dates, July 15th through the 17th. It's at the Best Western Ramkota in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Of course, you'll find that on the website, as Peg has mentioned. The registration cost is $375. And while you're there, all your meals come with that. So, the first 2 nights, we have nice banquets scheduled, but your meals are covered within that $375, and that's a heck of a deal.
All right, when it starts on the 15th, but it starts midday, correct? That's on a Monday?
Yeah, it'll start at 1:00. It'll start after lunch. So that's the only meal you'll have to get for yourself because the conference hadn't officially started yet. But once we kick it off, then from then on, meals are included.
Right through Wednesday lunch, correct?
That is correct. So including Wednesday lunch. So the conference is structured to allow folks, if they want to drive in that morning, they can do it. You can chance, air travel to get there in time in the morning, but that's a crapshoot for a lot of us. But we start Monday. We start at 12:30 on Monday the 15th, and then we'll go all day Tuesday, and then on Wednesday we will go up through lunch. So we have a 12 p.m. lunch, and we'll do a session when we close out the conference, and so the conference closes at 1:00. So those folks who want to get out of Dodge, or rather get out of Sioux Falls.
Last year we got out of Dodge, literally. We went into Dodge City.
Yes. They can still do it. So it's structured for those that need to keep their travel schedule tight. You can do that. For those who want a little bit more leisurely travel, some folks are going to come in on Sunday. Some folks might even stay till Thursday, but the conference is made for easy in, easy out.
Yes.
All right. So let's say this is the one time you leave the farm, you got somebody that's watching everything, and you and your family want to come out there, maybe do a little sightseeing, anything like that. But yet they want to be together for the meals. Mm-hmm. We have a plan for them to be able to come for the meals as well, so that they're not isolated in the motel room or whatever. And from what I have experienced at these events, anybody who goes away hungry does so at their own choice, because we've had wonderful meals wherever we have gone.
So what you're talking about is the guest registration. So you won't attend the sessions, but you get to get in on all the meals. That's $175, and that's basically 3 days worth of meals. And as you say, Peg, we make sure they walk away fed pretty good.
That's right, or waddle away.
Yeah.
We have many of our hunting club folks who are thinking, well, how do I start the next generation into this? I have children, I want them involved, or I'm getting into my 60s and 70s and I want to hand this on. This is a good opportunity for someone to send a staff member to get some information they can bring back. This year, our daughter is coming. It's her first time at one. She's been involved in the hunting club conference, but she's also the one who is the the first voice and the first face most people see when they come to the clubhouse. So it just makes sense to be educating your staff. So if you can't come, you could send one of your staff with the understanding they will come back and they will bring this information back to your staff and educate. Great way to do it.
Yes, we have a lot of lodges that bring their managers and some of their top employees so they can learn. We have several lodges that do that have the last couple of years anyways.
Absolutely.
It's a value added to your staff that comes back. Sort of like music lessons, the gift that keeps on giving. You educate your staff, they come back, they help others. It's a good way to pass on or improve your serve by serving your staff.
Yeah, well, they learn more firsthand than the boss coming back and trying to explain everything that they learned. So they definitely absorb more when they're there actually learning.
Rob, did I hear correctly that Dr. Abby Schuft is going to be a speaker there?
She is.
Correct.
She has been invaluable as an advisor to this organization, as an instructor. I really want to see her set up a Danish entry system and have people go through this so you understand about it. I want to see a physical hands-on thing where you actually learn how to do it, because theory and actually doing it are two different things. But we've had so many good speakers, vendors, people who have inputted into our industry, the advisors, they've all been super.
Yeah, and it's a very informal type conference where you actually have a chance to get to know these folks. So you talk about Abby, for example. You know, she'll literally offer, listen, if you need me to help you set up your biosecurity plan, I'll do it.
Right.
Yep.
If you want me to tell you how to, pointers, we can do it. She takes what sounds complicated and turns it into a very practical discussion that no longer is intimidating. So it makes you want to make the investment in protecting yourself after you hear Abby talk, because it doesn't seem like it's so complicated. So she does a great job.
She makes the impossible seem possible, and that is very appreciated.
So because of that informality you're talking about, so we talked about the hospitality, which of course is important. Our breaks, they're all 30 minutes long. They're not 30 minutes because we want to give people time to, go take a nap. Our people have told us they want to be able to interact with people.
Yep.
And so rather than a 15-minute break where you just have time to grab a drink and head to the restroom, you get a half an hour where you can talk to each other. Our meal functions, of course, we've talked about that, give you a lot of time to talk with each other, and then the hospitality. So we learned firsthand at the winter conference how much people value that time when we thought we might not be able to have hospitality, right? We got feedback from our folks like, oh, we got to figure this out.
Yeah.
Right.
And we did, right? So, and since that time, we understand now our people want time to get to know each other better. And just to drive that point home.
Those of us who have been members for a long time remember way back in the day when we had hundreds of people there. And it was after the sessions and people would go out to whatever. You got the wild stories. Bill McFarland's dad, Chuck and Jeanette Bear, the folks from Pennsylvania who used to be around. And those kind of networking opportunities solidify the friendships that we have in this organization. And Rob, you were saying, and I kind of stepped in on you.
Oh, that's okay. So when avian flu hits, the bird market gets tight. And so all of a sudden you have somebody go down who is a supplier of, hundreds of thousands of birds, let's say. The bird supply gets tight. You need to know who to call. Well, the guy who's out there on his own, like the lone member of the herd, he's the one that's going to be calling you later on desperate, like I can't find birds. But the people who attend these conferences, the people who engage, they know who to call. They've gotten to know people. That really is, when you think about why would I want to spend the money to hop on a plane, pay this registration, a few nights in a hotel, it's well worth it when you're scrambling for birds. And we've seen firsthand examples of that. So even though the agenda I'm very proud of, our committee's done a great job putting that together. I think the fact that you get together really matters. And in this post-COVID world where everybody thinks you can do all this stuff, like on a Zoom call or a telephone call, it's not the same as being
Mm-mm.
together.
Right. Face to face still, press the flesh, being able to shake hands, know who you're dealing with, watch them in action, see what they're really like.
Yep.
It just goes back to what we started this with, the educating of the hunting lodges, that they because they don't come to our national convention in the winter, they miss out on a lot of stuff, and trying to get them involved and educated is definitely kind of one hand washes the other, in this industry. So, we're doing all we can to help these guys get educated so they can prosper in their business, which obviously helps the growers also.
Right. I think what we've seen is right from the beginning, the idea was we need to meet the needs of the folks who are off season from the rest of us, the growers, so that we're meeting the needs of both sides of this organization. When I was editor of the magazine way back in the day, I came across a statistic that 85% of the people who fail at what they do are not a member of their trade association. That is why we harp so strongly on joining the NAGA, which is one factor. If you have not been to the hunting club conference before, let me point out, as Rob will say, if you've never been to the hunting club conference before, you receive a free membership to the NAGA for 1 year.
That's right.
You don't get it the second year, but we want to get you hooked and get you so that you're being educated, just like we've harped on through the whole live stream here.
And I think, and we're from an industry standpoint, the larger the network we can build, the larger herd we can build, the protection of the herd, right?
Right.
The larger we can make it, the stronger we'll be. So no matter what the threat is, if the threat is, disease, fine. If the threat is the animal rights crowd, understand. If the threat is, government, which we all know that government can mess you up, fine. This industry, this organization exists to protect and educate and advance the game bird industry. And so the bigger we are, the stronger we are, the more we can take a punch, the more we can weather a storm. And so I think in many ways, the summer conference, the hunting club conference, is basically the convention for the hunting clubs.
Yep.
And we're glad to do it. It was, of course, Dan and I know, Peg, it was your idea to hatch this thing. And I'm very happy with where it's gone so far, and
Very
excited to
much
see
so.
what's going to happen. Yeah.
I'm the big mama bird who laid this one. So we are really excited about this. What I have been encouraged by is the way that the people who have come have grabbed on to the idea and like, why isn't everybody here? Why aren't these people here? We're bringing it close to North and South Dakota, what we consider the hub of the pheasant hunting capitals of the world. And we're encouraging those folks to come. It's important that you're involved and that you get this information.
Oh, yeah, that's right. One thing that Dan can speak a little more about is we move it around every year.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. That you just mentioned that we went up north to kind of get involved with a lot of the pheasant lodges up north. Well, we're already looking at next year moving it back down towards the southeast, maybe not extreme southeast, but definitely get down in that neck of the woods and try to get a lot of the quail plantation hunting lodges down there involved also.
Yeah, so it's a balance, Peg. Like the heart of our membership tends to be centered around the middle of the country. But we also want to start heading south to get down into quail country. So we have recently put out requests for proposal for Springfield, Missouri, Branson, Missouri, and Tunica, Mississippi, to see what hotels might be interested in hosting the 2022 I do my math right here.
5.
2025 Hunting
Yeah,
Club Conference. Yep.
that's right.
And if we're able to keep it successful as we head south, then we'll head farther south, right? I think we want to be careful with our new baby, not to, jump all the way down to the Gulf Coast and lose a lot of our folks who have been faithful in their attendance.
And it
But I-
does get hot in the South. That's one benefit of this conference. You can go north and it's fine. You can go
Yeah.
in the winter time. When we have our annual conference, usually it's January, February, and most of us want to head south and see a little sunshine. In the summer, we can go north and have a great time. Our first one was in Ohio, the lakeside at a state park was a wonderful venue. Then last year in Kansas, by Manhattan, Kansas, the home of a hunting club or outdoor enterprises activity
University.
And now toward the northwest. We'll keep moving it. So we'd love to hear from our watchers, from our viewers. Here is Rob's email. If you have input for this, hey, I'd like to see this at this time of year. I'd like to see it in this venue. I'd love to help. Boy, we would love to have you on board. We so appreciate our committee members. We appreciate the time, the energy. I know for Dan, it was an early morning coming on this live stream because of the time changes. But folks, it's well worth it to come to this. We ask that you would give your comments below or email Rob and let us know what you would like to see, what you would like to maybe have as a topic another year. What is something that's affecting you? How can we help? Okay, guys, any last minute input here? Any other comments?
Just get on that website and register for Sioux Falls.
Yeah, I
That's
hope
right.
to see everybody there.
One more time, NorthAmericanGayBird.com. There's lots of information there. And when you are a member, you have access to the archives, all those years of articles. So things that we've covered in the past, all these concepts and the information, the issues, the ideas, the inspiration that we have been bringing to you visually here is in the database of the library. Wonderful resource for you to have. Dan, Rob, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
I will take you out of here and we will close up. And thank you, viewer, for being with us today.